up, everybody? I'm so excited today. I have Judge Shannon Frison here to talk about her journey. Let's get right into it. Judge Frison, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Shannon Frison. I'm a justice of the Massachusetts Superior Court. I've been on this court for about 8 years now. Prior to that, I was a justice of the Boston Municipal Court and sat in all divisions of that court for about 4 years. I've been in private practice prior to coming on the bench. Just walking backwards for myself. Prior to that, with a law firm here in Boston, and prior to that, on active duty in the United States Marine Corps as a judge advocate. And since coming off of active duty, I've had reserve duty in different spots, most notably Okinawa, Japan, where I served as the military justice officer, in Hawaii, doing some non-legal work for the war plans branch there at Camp Smith. So I'm originally from Chicago, and I went to Hyde Park Career Academy in Chicago. I left there and went to Harvard, graduated Harvard with a government major, and then went on to Georgetown for law school before joining the Marine Corps, which I did while I was in law school. So that, I think that's the snapshot. It's the shortest snapshot I can give.
Wait a minute. No, that's not a snapshot. That's an entire royal in the career. That's like a royal pathway. All of those celebrated accomplishments that you have. I just want to say thank you for, number one, being yourself, being your authentic self and not hiding who you are. I so appreciate that in a person who has worked as hard as you have, obviously. Harvard? Wow, let's talk about that. How was your experience at Harvard?
Harvard was great. It's a fantastic school. It has a vibrant, a large and vibrant Black population of students who are close, and that meant a lot to me while I was there. It was a great experience. I wouldn't have done anything differently.
Oh wow, that's so amazing. When I think of Harvard, I think of a lot of the movies that I've seen. So in a lot of those movies, it's a lot of white people that are attending Harvard. I rarely ever see any Black people in those movies. So hearing you say that there is a crowd, a tight-knit crowd of us at Harvard, that's amazing to know. And then, Judge, to know that a queer woman has graduated from Harvard, and then Georgetown. You know what? Your list of accomplishments is the greatest strength in a way that's kind of like, I'm really not gonna care what you think or what you say about me or what you believe about me. I'm going to do what I've set out to do and what I know I'm called to do. Do you find that is a source of your motivation or a mantra?
Definitely. The sort of outside monikers of success and intelligence and all of that I've met. And so the paths to leadership and folks who are thought leaders and affecting the world, that you shouldn't even have to have those monikers hanging all over.
Right.
But when you do, there's really nothing that should be stopping you from having an impact on the world that you want to have, whatever that is. It may be law, it may be anything. But I'm a firm believer that whatever you do, that you should do it at the highest level you can, your highest capacity of doing that thing. So, Simone Biles would not be at her highest capacity if she were, probably just teaching gymnastics at the local YMCA or something.
Right.
That would be helpful to a segment of people, and a benefit to the world in a certain way, but certainly not in the way that her worldwide presence and example is for girls and Black folks and young athletes. So whatever it is that you do, you should be doing it you should be on tilt with it, is how I think about things.
Wow. Now, with all of these accomplishments, I know that you've probably had your fair share of struggle, because let's just face it, to be black is a struggle. To be a woman is a struggle, but to be queer, black, and a woman is a struggle that I don't think a lot of people are willing to talk about and are willing to express or be aware of. With all of these accomplishments that you've had, what would you say was the thing that pushed you through all of the difficulty, all of the destructive content around you?
Well, um, I've always maintained good network of people around me at all times, family and friends, and so um, those are the people that keep me grounded no matter what's going on, and I think that's important, for all people, that whatever the struggles are going to be, because like you said, they will come, that you're not facing them alone, or trying to get through things alone, or trying to become successful alone.
Right.
I don't think any of those things are really the way to attempt. So having people around me who know me well and love me, and are from all walks of life, has really helped, when things are difficult or challenging or just downright ugly. So
Right.
it's the people in your life.
Okay. Now, what would you tell a masculine presenting woman in corporate America? Because me, I'm almost done with my book. It's called The Uninvited. It's got pretty much all of my experiences that I've had in corporate America as a masculine presenting woman. But to a queer woman in corporate America, what resources are there to protect us from discrimination? Now, I know that a lot of the LGBTQ plus laws are not active in all states protecting us, right? In employment and discrimination. What resources are there to go out there and get to make sure that we are educated, that we protect ourselves, and that we know what cues to look for? Because sometimes we could be in situations that are discriminatory and not even know it.
And that's a good question, and a very interesting sort of, intersectionality type of issue, particularly for Black women who may be masculine presenting. And what that essentially means is that you remind everyone of a Black man, and
Yeah.
you get, you know all of that discrimination as well. And so, but I think in terms of corporate America in particular, even there is now somewhat of an awakening. So I think no matter how you present at this particular time, it's probably one of the best times in history to be differently presenting.
Yes.
Um, and so that, that doesn't mean, just walk in and don't worry about it. But it does mean that I think at least now, you're more likely to get a fair shake in probably most forums. So, in terms of, resources. I think you do have to rely, if something is going on that is you believe is violating your rights, you do have to rely on the laws of the state that you live in or the federal law, depending on the situation and where it's happening. So in wherever you live, you have to be familiar with how that state is handling that area of the law, at least to the extent that you know the basics. And sometimes, unfortunately, that is a part of what people in the LGBTQ spectrum are using to decide where they live, even is how the laws are with regard to people on the spectrum. And so I think that's something we have to think about, just like as a Black person, you might think about the racial mix or diversity of a place before you move there, and laws as well. So I think that's something that, unfortunately, being a minority in any sense, you have to think about. Particularly with folks presenting as masculine, I think it's, the day-to-day issues become more about, how you dress and how you're going to dress, and deciding that, how you're going to wear your hair and deciding that, and whether that's a combination of how you want to be and how you think you need to be in a workplace. Those are uniquely personal decisions that I think there can't be a blanket answer, like do this or don't do that.
Right.
It really does depend on the industry. But I think even in the most rigid of industries, like the Marine Corps, like the law, there's room for those institutions to be pushed. There's room to push the envelope everywhere you go. So, when I began on the bench, I was wearing a tie just about every day.
Wow.
At this point, it's some days, it's not every day, but that was a sort of just a part of, how I thought I looked best and how I dressed up. And, it was clearly not the norm and clearly not something people were used to, but people adjusted to it. And people adjusted to it because that's how I presented. I wasn't going to dress any differently to appease anyone, because it's not like I'm coming in blue jean shorts and not dressed up. I'm just dressed up in a different way than you might expect a woman to be. And it also had to change because the more integrity and professionalism you have in whatever it is you do, when people look and hear and see that you know what you're doing and that you are good at what you're doing, some of the rest of the drama and pomp and circumstance and surface stuff subsides. So when you come in as a lawyer, you come in as a pilot, you come in as a judge, whatever, and people can see that you know what you're doing, then we sort of are able usually to get past, okay, but why is your hair so short? And are you gay? Or why are you wearing a tie? Does that mean you're, who knows what the questions all are. But I feel that normally in any crowd, once you have established that you are competent and more than competent, then some of the rest of the shenanigans kind of get pushed to the side. And so I would say to women who present as masculine, the same thing I say to Black students, the same thing I say to queer students, the same thing I say to women, which is let your skills do the talking. Be competent, be better than competent, be better than the average lawyer, better than the average runner, better than the average doctor or whatever. So that is what speaks for you, and not just appearance and race and gender and all of these other proxies that don't really have anything to do with the merit of what you're doing. And so the better you are at what you do, you help yourself and you serve the community of people who may present in the way that you do by being the better or the best at what you're doing, and having that be what speaks for us in the workplace.
Wow. That was, my mind was going everywhere while you were talking, because what it sounds like you're saying is that no matter how you present yourself, no matter who you are or what people think you are or what people think about you, as long as you show up like you are aware, you are confident, as long as you show up ready, that's all you really need. Everything else will just fall into place.
Um, I do. I think that's right. And that doesn't mean that, your everyday is going to be perfect. People people daily follow me, watch me, snitch on me to some higher authority or position, somehow try to impede my progress, my process, and my interaction with the community and with the people of the Commonwealth. It's a constant barrage, particularly the higher up you go in so-called stature, in any field. And so it is impossible to change how people feel or to change how we do business if those types of things literally stop you in your tracks. Because what I tell people, especially young law students and young lawyers who I have the opportunity to speak to or present to in some fashion, is that you're not being saved from anything by being a professional, by having graduated from top tier schools, by having top tier jobs. It doesn't matter. You're still going to face racism, discrimination, bias, microaggressions, macroaggressions. It is literally soaked into the fabric of this country, and there's nothing that you endeavor to do where you're not going to experience that. And the law is no different. And so in the practice of law, or becoming a judge, or any of that, you're going to face these issues wherever you go. So you have to have internally a way of holding your own and continuing on your journey, because people will literally get in the way of your journey otherwise. And it doesn't matter if it's personal. It doesn't matter if it's because of your race. It doesn't matter if it's related to your orientation or sexual identity. And it's the same way with folks, presenting in a gender fashion that may be different than other people are expecting. But literally, you just cannot let it will make you stay in the house and not do anything if you let it. It can be that bad.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. What would you say is your greatest accomplishment thus far?
The greatest accomplishment. Well, I think in my personal life, my greatest accomplishment is my parenting. I have a soon-to-be 6-year-old, and just the that process, which many of us are familiar with. Yeah, I believe to be my greatest personal accomplishment. And it's not over. Clearly, I've got a long way to go. Professionally, I really, I still harken back to becoming a Marine. I mean, the process of becoming a Marine, it is still to me one that there's almost nothing that compares to. So that day stands out, even though there have been many more fabulous days, becoming a lawyer, getting sworn in as a judge. I've had many more, but being a Marine stands out. If I have to compare.
That is amazing. Judge Shannon Frison, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You've given me a lot of wisdom today just in listening to your story, and I thank you for sharing it with us here. And I would love to have you back sometime. Maybe once I write the book, we can talk about it or something. I don't know.
Certainly. It sounds like a fabulous book. So I'll be looking forward to it, and we'll be happy to come back, whether we're talking about that or anything else.
Yes, thank you so much for taking out the time. And everybody, just make sure you check in to the channel and make sure you subscribe also and leave some comments about this interview. This was an awesome one, you guys. I think this is kind of like historic in a way. So you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye now.